That looks sweet. Hey everybody, this is John. This is my first stream, and I don't know what I'm doing, so let me know if like there's any technical issues or glitches or whatever. Ask questions. I thought today what I'm going to do is work on some art for this guy today, which is, let me open this up. Oops. It's this guy. So I have my my rotating laser gate rotates around like that in the level, and basically it just needs some new updated art here for this base part here. So that's what I'm going to work on right now. And then hopefully that won't take too long, and I'll you know, I'll put it back into the engine and we'll see how it looks. Yeah. So I'm pretty happy with the base here, except I think I made this edge color too dark, and then I need to do some detail here to make this more interesting. And then I wanted to do something to make to you know, give this a little more depth. Right now it's a little flat looking. So yeah, so I'm just going to get started doing that. I don't know how this is going to go because I just basically got home from work. Got home, quote unquote, because I'm working from home right now. And my mind is probably not fully ready to do this yet. Thanks, Max. It's weird to talk to the chat. Yeah, all right. Oops. Yeah, so I think, yeah, that's what that is. So I create a new layer, and then what I can do is I can draw, oops, I can draw here like this, and see it's just on top of that stuff. If you've never used Aseprite, I highly recommend it. It's a great program. But I think what I want is I want to have something here that will kind of sit like this, maybe as a separate piece. I don't know, something. If you've ever done, I mean, I'm sure you have, but when you do, for me, when I do art, it takes me a little while to warm up, and you know, I'll flail around for a bit before I start to feel like I'm loose, you know, getting into it. We'll see. I'm going to open this so I can make sure I'm using the same color palette for this enemy as I am for this one. Kind of a neat shape. These symmetry tools basically let you mirror left and right and up and down, so you get you know, perfectly symmetrical objects without having to do a lot of work. Kind of a nice shortcut. Looks kind of cool. Don't know if I want that to be a perfect 45-degree angle. Maybe. Yeah, that looks cool. So this thing, the concept for these aliens, these enemies, is sort of robotic, bug alien robot hybrids. And So one thing this guy was missing is the bug part, right? It doesn't look very buggy. So I'm trying to add more of that flavor to him. Actually, I like that better. So then I'll copy that, paste it, flip it, move it. And these guys, I want to do the same thing. Let me just redraw it, be faster. Yeah. I got this light gray in there as well, and then this darker red. So I've got kind of that darker red there, and then I think that light gray, yeah, it's that middle one. It's this guy. Yeah, it's not that one. So I can add maybe a little pop here and there. Something like that. And then at some point, I'm going to turn off the symmetry because I don't want it to be too symmetrical. That looks interesting. Let me see. I just want to see it real quick in the engine. Judge lest ye be judged. You might need to work on your spelling there, Max. I was? I don't even know what that means. That's how bad I am at Twitch. I don't know. I barely know what bits are. I don't know how I know if I was rated. How do you even know? What happens? I should move my chat view somewhere where I can see it better. Here we go. Oh, well, that's sweet. Here's hoping one day. Welcome, everybody. Oh, I see it now. Is rating with a party of 11. Thank you. And welcome. And I hope you enjoy it. And, you know, I love you guys. All right, let's see. Let's see how this looks. So I think, all right. So my idea here was to have this gray part, this whole top layer spin. And I screwed it up because I put this stuff in that top layer and I need to move it. But that's okay. Let me just fix that real quick. So I want to put that stuff there. Yeah. So if I have this gray thing spin, I think it's going to be too big, but it's okay. Let's just try it and see, and then I can adjust it later. And then I want to save out this layer as a new piece. Let's see. We'll save it. Export it. Like that. I could animate it in the in Aseprite, but that's kind of a pain. King James version. It's kind of a pain to animate it in Aseprite. It would probably look better if I animated it in Aseprite, but I ain't got that kind of time. So what I'm going to do is I've got the base here, and then I'm going to find that piece that I saved here, the top, and I'm just going to blap it in there. And yeah, I've got pixel snapping on, so I can center it. Center it, maybe like that. And then I can animate the thing. Let me just see how it looks. I'll just spin it by hand first, if I can. Why isn't it spinning? There it goes. I mean, that's not bad. It's not great. I think it's not, maybe it's a little rectangular. It's not square. It's not quite square, so it looks a little weird. Well, let's just try it and see what happens. So I'll add a animation player here. And then I'm just going to animate. So I need to create a new animation. I'll just call it default. That's just the convention I've been using. I call most of my animations default if it's just the basic one. I'm going to have it autoplay. I'm going to have it loop. And what it's going to do is it's going to animate the rotation, right? So it'll start at 0. Yep. And then it'll go to, at the end of the animation, it'll go to 360. And then when I play it, as you can see, nothing happened. Hold on. Oh, I didn't put the keyframe. 360. Keyframe. Now it should spin. Let's slow it down. There's two ways you can slow it down. One, you can make the animation timeline longer, or you can just change the speed that the animation plays at. Yeah, I like that. That's fine. That's a good speed. And then let's see how it looks in the game when you're playing. Yo, Vimlark. I don't read chat. It's actually, I need to figure out some way to get the chat in front of my eyeballs instead of having to look over at the other screen. Whoa! What do we think of that? And I don't know if you guys have seen it, but the laser, I think since the last video I did, I've added this glow at the base and this glow here at the tip. And I changed the impact particles here a little bit. And I like the spinning thing, but yeah, I don't know. I think it needs this. Obviously, it needs some more work, and I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I agree. This spinny thing's a little dark. I think it's the wrong shape. I think I don't like that the base is just an octagon. I think it needs more organic. It needs more of an organic feel to it. Like, it just doesn't look like these guys, right? It's like it's from a different universe. It does look beefy. You can't kill it. Alright, I'm going to mess around with the art some more. I'm going to be brave and flatten that. Oh, shoot. Too much. I just meant this. Yeah. What do you mean light bleed? Maybe I will animate this in here. I don't know. Oh man. I don't know why this thing's lagging right now. Restart it. Still kind of bad. No, that doesn't fix it. Nope. Oh no. Oh no. I can't get my settings back again because I can't see it on the screen. Well, shoot. That's a problem. Yeah, like some... Yeah. It doesn't look like the glow is affecting the other stuff, because it's not. But yeah, it needs something. All of this basically, it needs some life to it, and I don't know, but first I need to figure out how I can get this thing working again. Does anybody know the hotkey for bringing up the settings? It's not that. Not that. Nope. Nope. I think I'm getting close. There it is. Yeah, I think, thanks, Patrick. It needs something in here. I might not rotate it. I might do something else. But I think first I want to like make this look a little more organic. So first, it's weird that you can break your whole computer by just changing a couple of settings. See, that already looks more interesting. And I should actually turn symmetry off, I think, because it's going to look weird if every corner is identical. I mean, it won't be bad, but it's just a little, I don't know, a little lazy maybe? It'll be more interesting if they're not. Just add a little noise here. Something like that, and then maybe some like, I don't know, kind of vein looking things going back this way. Although, I mean, the other things I have don't really have this level of organicness. We'll see. Just experimenting. It's easy to start over or erase or whatever. So now, if I hide that, see, that looks better, I think. What do you guys think? Better or worse? And then I think I want to do some animation here. So let's see. I think I need like, I want to do like 12 frames, I think. So Aseprite has this thing. If you create frames, right, there's a couple of ways to create frames. One is you just hit Alt-N and it creates frames. And it copies the previous frame. So these are all going to be, oops, these are all going to be identical, right? Everyone's identical. Another way is you hit Alt-B and it just creates an empty frame. And what you're seeing here is the onion skin. So I can see the previous layer while I work on this one, and I can just kind of draw over it. What I want to do, and there's a third thing, there's a third option. It's this. And what this does is it just basically says when you create a new frame, see how it looks a little different? So I'm going to do 12. Now, what it's saying is these are all linked. So if I change this, if I draw in here on any frame, it's going to affect all of these linked frames. So if I draw here, like that, it's going to show here, and it's showing here, and it's showing here. They're all linked together. Kind of convenient for like the base thing. And then what I can do is do a new layer on top, and we'll call this one what? How come I can't rename that? Oh, Shift P. We'll call that one effects, and we'll do another one, and we'll call it glow. So this is the convention I've been using for a lot of different things. And we'll put some like lightning in here. Let's see what happens. I kind of think I want it like some kind of lightning or electricity to start there, and then it'll kind of disappear from there, and then on the third frame it'll pop out like that. And then, so over here in the preview, you can actually have it play while you're doing it. So you can see what it'll look like at the actual size. And then here you can just keep working on whatever frame you're working on. And then I think I want it to do like a build. So let me get a bigger brush and kind of do a thingy. That. And then the next frame, it will kind of explode. And then do that. Something like that. And then it'll fizzle out. So one thing I don't do in any of these animations is I tend not to use partial opacity, transparency. If I want to have something fade out, I'll just draw it in smaller and smaller bits. So it's more like a dissolve instead of a fade out. And so that keeps everything really crisp. So this sprite now, it's 12 frames. And instead of just saving it as a PNG like I was before, I'm going to save it as a sprite sheet. And I'll do it as a rows and columns with 4 columns and 3 rows. So that's going to be the width and height of it. And just export that. It'll remember this. So next time I export, I just hit save. And then that's going to make the game look a little weird, right? Because it's loading this as a sprite sheet now. But I can tell it how many frames there are vertically and horizontally. And we're back to normal. And actually, because this is animated now, I'm going to try this one a little differently. So what I would do before is I would set up a sprite, tell it how many frames it has, and then put an animation player on it. But I think for this one, because it's simple, I think I can just change it to a animated sprite. And then you don't need the animation player. It kind of just handles it itself. But you have you have less control over the animation timing, but for this I don't care. I'm going to do all the animation timing in Aseprite, so it doesn't matter. And you can tell it load a sprite sheet. I'm going to load, where is it? It's not there. It's a gate, it's a texture, it's the sky. And then you tell it how many horizontal and how many vertical you have. And you select them all and add them, 12 frames. And then you tell it how fast you want to play. And I'll play these at 12 frames per second. Loop it, playing. Right, there it is. It doesn't look bad. So now it looks more alive, right? Like it's doing something. And I'll probably add more. I'm going to add some glows to it. So I'll do that in a minute though. But first, what I want to do is do the other corners. So I'm probably going to, what I'll do, see this one took 8 frames. What I'll do is create another one. And maybe I'll come up with better names and maybe I won't. But in this one, I'll have it go to a different corner and do a different timing. So I think I want to go this corner and then this corner and then this corner and then this corner. So this one, I'll start it here and I'll go here. And I'm going to change this to a circle. So I'll do basically the same thing, but I'm redrawing it rather than just copying it. I could just copy these here and flip them, rotate them, whatever, but it's not going to look as good because you'll be able to tell that it's an exact copy. By just redrawing it again, it looks more interesting. It's more organic. You can tell that they're unique. And it doesn't take that long. It's just 8 frames. Not so bad. And this one, I might even change the timing on this one a little bit, just so that it's a little, you know, just so it feels a little different than the first one. So this lightning or electricity is going to go zap this way, and then I'm going to have it go zap the other way, and then maybe do a like zap both directions, and then I'll have it kind of do its thing, that, and fade out like that. See? So you can see from the timing, I'm going to actually move this a little bit. I'm going to move it 1 frame over just to change the timing a little better. So this is what I mean by controlling the timing in the animation. Once I have these 12 frames and I've decided my whole animation is going to be 12 frames, then I can set it up over here. I can do the sprite sheet. I can tell it to run at 12 frames per second. So this whole animation cycle plays in 1 second. And then if I want to change the timing of different parts of the animation, I just do it here. And then I don't have to fiddle with any of this ever again. As long as I stick to my 12 frames and I don't add or remove any, I don't have to rebuild anything over here. So I'll save it, export it real quick, and it should just immediately appear. And there it is. I don't know, what do we think? Is this the right direction? I'll go ahead and do another one. FX3. And I may actually, well, no, I don't know. I was thinking I would combine these into one, but I don't think I want to, I'm not ready to do that yet. I like, thanks Patrick. I like merging the layers because, I mean, I used to not, right? So like you'd have a bunch of layers and I'd be like, oh no, if I merge them, I'm never going to be able to get it back. It's permanent. I'm screwed if I change my mind. But I've just come to learn that I'm going to erase it and redraw it again a million times anyway, so it's no big deal. And it only takes a little bit of time to redraw it. Yeah, I agree. I think, I mean, everything in the game kind of has this electricity or the smoke or the white things, the glow or whatever. So yeah, I agree. This kind of brings it into the same world. I do think this top part needs something because it's too bulky maybe, or too much of one color. But I do like how it looks like this central part is sort of transmitting energy out, like extra energy out that's not going into the laser beam. It's like too powerful or something. All right, so I'm going to do another one here. This one will be interesting because I'm going to start it here, right? But it'll end up wrapping around to the front. Yeah, that's fine. So I did this corner. I'm going to do this corner next. I'm going to start right here. And basically just the same process. And then later, if I want to add, so I'm using the keys, the arrow keys here. You can go forward a frame, back a frame, left, right, left, right. You can go up and down the layers with the arrows as well. So I've got one hand, my left hand on the keyboard here, moving between these, and then my right hand on my drawing tablet, just drawn away. It's a pretty efficient, system. I like the default shortcuts and everything in Aseprite really make a lot of sense. It probably takes some getting used to. I think it's a little Photoshop-like, so maybe coming from that is not too hard. But it does have a lot of different kind of, things in it that are different than Photoshop. So if you're coming from that, it is going to be different. Right, Vim? Do you use Aseprite or are you still using Photoshop for all of your art? So I need to do that. Yeah, different key bindings. Yeah, I mean, that's true of any software, right? It's different, so you have to get used to it. And your fingers have kind of a muscle memory, and they know what they want to do, and they try to do it the old way, and it doesn't work, and it can get frustrating. But for doing this type of animated pixel art, I think Aseprite is pretty close to unbeatable as far as speed and efficiency. Yeah, I've never even tried animating in Photoshop. I don't even know. I mean, until recently, I didn't even know it could do it. I guess it's all in the layers and it's kind of a hack on top of that. But yeah, this is just purpose built for it, so it's a lot more natural feeling. Let's do this one. Well, yeah, let's do the same thing. But then we'll change up the lighting a little bit. Or the electricity, whatever we want to call it. And so you'll notice, like, when you're animating, so going from here to here, you don't really want to draw anything in between. You don't want to draw like a halfway frame or a quarter frame or a third frame and do like 2 or 3 frames getting out to this spot. Excuse me. because it'll look slow. And if you want it to look fast, you need to just do it instantly. And flipping back and forth between these, it looks like it may be too much. But when you play it, you can see it it builds, and then it feels like it jumps, and it feels like it's very fast and it has more impact, basically. What I'll tend to do is the things that I want to have impact, I'll have them do it in 1 frame, maybe 2. But then things like a recoil or the after action, I'll have it like pull back and do that slowly over a couple of frames, and then hit in 1 frame, and then pull back slowly, and then hit in 1 frame. That applies to just about everything, including like run cycles, for example. Like on a run cycle on the down step, you probably want that to just really kabam in 1 or 2 frames. But then the movement of the leg backwards, you want it to take a little longer so you can see it. It depends on how you're doing it. And then run cycles are a little different because you want like smears and stuff, which are a lot of fun. Where was I? Yeah, so I've got that guy. And then, I don't know, maybe I want this to be like, I'm going to have this one come out a little further. Just go nuts. And then it'll loop around to the front frame again, and I'll have it do that, and then dissolve. I don't know. We'll see. How's it look over here? Yeah, I'm digging that. And then we'll do 1 more, and then I'll add some glows, and we'll see how that looks. So this one I want to start it here on frame 10. Bap, 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 bap. And it doesn't need to be perfect, right? Like, you can spend a lot of time like getting this just perfect, but it won't matter because nobody's going to notice it. This animation plays so quickly. Each frame is a 1/12 of a second, and the player's going to be doing a crap ton of other stuff. They're just not going to see it. They'll get the feel of it. They'll see the overall impression of it, but they're not going to see that you moved 1 pixel perfectly at 45 degrees, or that it's perfectly not overlapping some other piece. It's, you know, it's perfectly inside the lines or whatever. It doesn't matter. Nobody's going to see it. So you can be a little loose. Doesn't have to be exact. All right, let's see how that looks. Okay, I like that. Hey, Leonard. Yep, I agree. So if you want it to be organic, right? Be more loose, be more messy. If you want it to be more machine-like, I guess, you need crisper, tighter lines and straighter angles and things like that. I'm kind of combining the two, right? So I have this organic bit here combined with this machine bit. Like the laser beam is a laser beam, but it's got this wavy goofball thing going inside. Yeah, it's like a mixture of neat and messy. All right, so now that I've got the basic laser part in, what I can do now is go back over it and add a little glow. And the way I've been doing that is I'll just create a big brush like that. I'll turn the opacity way down to like whatever, something small, right? So you can barely see it. And then anywhere where I want the glow to show, I'll just brush over it. So it's easier if I just turn off the base here. And so I can only see the lightning and wherever I put the glow. And then what I'll do is just go over it like that. And again, you know, I'm being kind of messy. And if I want it the glow to be a little more opaque, then I'll go over it again. And the, you know, the different, every time I stroke the brush, it'll add another layer of paint there. I mean, if you keep going at it, eventually it becomes completely opaque, like that. But that's not what I'm after. I just want this little glow. And then when you see it in the game, because it's on a dark background, and you know, the most of the game, oops, is, I'm going to turn off the onion skin. Actually, I'm going to tint it. Yeah. So the way the onion skin thing works is, so I'm looking at this frame too. See these little arrows? So that is the limits of the onion skin. So if I drag, if I can grab it, that side. So now it's showing my current frame, and then the onion skin goes to the previous frame, and that'll show red, and the future frame, the next frame will show blue. The current frame will be whatever color it is. So I can see the white stuff here is what I'm working with right now. And I can add a glow like that, to that, to that, to that, to that. And then go to the next frame. And I'll add it here. And here. See, I won't add one here because that one's in the past. I could turn off the onion skin entirely and make it probably a little easier. It's this button, right? So then I'm just dealing with whatever I see in this frame. But I'm just showing you guys. Do that. So I'm brushing over most of these twice, and partly because I want a little variation in the way the glow looks, and I want a little, I want it to be a little messy. If I only do one stroke like that, it's fine, but it doesn't have enough, to my taste, it doesn't have enough noise in it, and it doesn't look, it looks a little too stiff. So just quickly go over these, add some glows. So like by doing it this way, it's all in the sprite sheet. It's not being done in the engine. It's not like a real, quote unquote, real lighting effect. So there's basically no overhead for the engine. There's no lights. There's no, it doesn't involve like a shader. You know, it's simple. It keeps the performance high. That's why I don't have to worry about optimizing my game at all. Because it's basically doing nothing except little flip books. There. You see how fast that went? So now if I don't like it, I can just go back and redo it. It only took a couple minutes. Let's turn that back on, export it again, save it, and go look at it. Right? Yeah, I think I like it when it's not rotating, so I'm going to delete this guy. Maybe I'll add something to it that moves later, but for now, I kind of like that. So now I want to add some other something. So yeah, this one has these like symbols on it. If I look up the fuel station, That one's got like this, it's like this, I don't know, like hieroglyphs or writing. Something's going on there, right? Got this guy. See, it's got this, like a stripe. It's segmented. It's got like a segmented body, like an insect. And this one has an antenna. What's this one got? This one's got some. What am I looking at? That one's just hard to see. They've all got kind of this gray outline. Maybe I want an outline. I don't know. I can turn my opacity back up. I don't know. I think maybe I'm going to add some of those hieroglyph type stuff. Something like that. Kind of weird doing it on an angle. I don't know if I like that. Might just do it here. Yeah. Let's see, I can put one here. So these don't mean anything. Obviously not functional, but maybe maybe people start attributing like a hidden message to them or something. This one I want to move up. Right? And then I can lighten this up a little bit just by adding a little bit more of this lighter gray in there. Maybe even do something like that. Maybe. Turn the symmetry back on. Looks kind of like it's connecting the inner edge to the outer side. I can't say that they don't have a meaning. What meaning? I guess they mean something. Let's do this darker gray. So I'm going to trace this inner edge with this darker gray to kind of give it a little A little bit of depth, maybe. Yeah. And then I think I'm going to do some erasing here. I like adding noise, so a little bit of cutting. Like that. Just kind of breaks up the straight lines and makes it a little more interesting. And then I think I want to add one more effect here where I take this circle and just turn it white for just one frame. All right, let's export that, see how it looks. I don't know. It took me an hour. I think it's headed in the right direction, but I don't think it's done yet. I'm not sure. I mean, I kind of like it. I like it. And I like that. So when I drew this electricity, I drew those red like vein looking things first. And then I drew the electricity, but now that I see it, it looks almost like the darker red vein things are scars caused by the electricity. Like they're channels where the electricity was going and are kind of carved into it. It looks a little, you know what, that's what it needs. Maybe it needs a little dirt. It needs some, well, I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, I think it looks okay. I'm happy with that for now. That'll do. I think, so what I need to do now is basically walk away from it. I need to sit with this for a little bit and come back to it, you know, in a week or something with fresh eyes and see how I like it. It's hard for me when I'm working on something to, I start to not notice its flaws because I've been staring at it for so long. And this thing I've been staring at, this, I mean, it was an hour today, but I was staring at it for a couple hours a couple days ago and a couple hours a couple days before that. So, I mean, all in, I've probably been looking at this thing for, I don't know, 6 or 7 hours. And it's, I just need a break from it, right? And so I'll work on something else next time. But right now, I'm going to go ahead and call it a day. Thanks everybody for joining. If you are, oh hey Javi, you caught just the end of it. So I'm gonna call it a day. I think I enjoyed it, but I don't know. I need to decompress a little bit and see how see how I feel about this streaming thing. But I think I'll definitely do it again. In the meantime, please go to gravityace.com, wishlist the game on Steam. Follow me on Twitter. I do updates pretty frequently there. And if you go to gravityace.com, you can see the link to my Discord server. Come join it, ask questions, talk, whatever. I'm usually around. And yeah, so thanks for watching, everybody. And I'll see you around out there. Take it easy.